But the conclusion as to why the government hides this stuff was actually profound. The conclusion was that these things are not extraterrestrial, that they are extraspiritual, and that their existence would belie the existence of a higher power, the existence of God. And that there's no evidence that these things came from outer space, that these things are simply spiritual entities that are engaging on Earth the way that spiritual entities have always engaged on planet Earth.
All right, so in today's video, I'm going to be looking at this reaction from this commentator, this YouTube channel, Benny Johnson. So this goes a little bit into politics. These channels are about politics and culture and so on and so forth. But what I really care about, I'm not going to go into politics, not right now. I'm not going to go into a lot of the deep end about this topic, but what I want to point out is that the ideas and some of the themes of UFOs, of aliens, and so on and so forth are going mainstream, and the conclusions that they are reaching are getting really close to what seems to be happening. So I'm going to be reacting to this video, a little bit of Benny Johnson with the most listened man on earth, which is Joe Rogan, with the second most listened man on earth, which is Tucker Carlson. As I said, they go into culture and politics and so on and so forth. What I really care about is their conclusions about the whole alien phenomenon. Because in this channel, I've talked about this UFO phenomenon before. It seems to be related, closely related to the study of consciousness. As I've said before, when you go deep enough into the study of consciousness, you realize that there is a connection with the UFO and alien phenomenon. Now, I made videos about transfiguration, I made videos about contact and so on and so forth. Are we being farmed, studied, healed? What are their purposes? Are they mother angels? This is important from Rainer Hernandez. He was conducting some sort of a research, just cataloging all the reports. He had a personal experience where the aliens came to visit him, and they healed his dog, and his wife would call them the angels, and he realized that there was something more going on. And then he had another altered state of consciousness, and they told him that he had to put all of this forward and just explain these quote-unquote contact modalities, which are near-death experiences, which are the spiritually transformative experiences, random experiences, the entheogen phenomena, psychedelics. All of these experiences are coming to the same conclusion. Before I move forward, I would like to remind you that if you want to join the growing discussion on consciousness and would like to be notified on the latest scientific discoveries and theories surrounding this topic and how they connect to ancient mythologies and philosophies, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, as I'll try to upload at least one video per week as I continue with the outline. So indeed, my latter video was about the quote-unquote message of the entities. Which are these entities? These entities that people experience through altered states of consciousness, through the psychedelic experience, the psychedelic breakthrough, the near-death experience, the beings of light, and then we talk about the transfiguration and so on and so forth. So what exactly are they? Who are they? What are we really talking about? Are all of these the same thing? These entities, are they something else? So it seems that the traditional media, the mainstream media, is actually getting close to what's going on. So I'm just going to be reacting to this video.
But the conclusion as to why the government hides this stuff was actually profound. The conclusion was that these things are not extraterrestrial, that they are extraspiritual, and that their existence would belie the existence of a higher power, the existence of God. And that there's no evidence that these things came from outer space, that these things are simply spiritual entities that are engaging on Earth the way that spiritual entities have always engaged on planet Earth. If you're a believer, if you read the Bible, if you read the scriptures, you know these things have always existed. And now Tucker Carlson is talking with Joe Rogan about it, and the most listened to man on Earth, which is Joe Rogan, is talking to the second most listened to man on Earth, Tucker Carlson, about this thing, and it's, well, pretty unbelievable.
All right, so indeed, this is the conclusion that they seem to be reaching, that we're starting to make this shift between thinking about the alien phenomena as something of science fiction into something, what they were coining the word quote-unquote spiritual. it is a different phenomenon. So, as he mentions, when you study ancient philosophies and ancient religions, you can see straight away that there's something going on. If you go into this whole event, one of the biggest events in Christianity, Transfiguration, as I mentioned, and you go into the scriptures, it says that the disciples were quote unquote deep in sleep. If you go to the transliteration in Greek language, it is called sleep torpor. Now, I made this connection between the sleep states, the brain waves, where when you go into deep sleep, you go into delta. When you go through the psychedelic breakthrough and people see the entities and whatnot, they go into delta. When people go through death, the first EEGs on a dying human brain, which have come forward. And I have all this research in this channel. You go through ongoing research and you can find that. I'm going to see if I can link something below, but I've been talking about this on and on and on. When you go into that, you reach the delta. What is this? The delta brainwave state where your brain is not really active. So this is not happening in the brain. It seems that when we exit the brain, when we exit physical reality, we go into this phenomenon. Now, what is the mainstream media saying? It's saying that this is not a physical phenomenon. This is not people or beings from other planets. Well, perhaps, but these mainly are beings from a quote-unquote spiritual nature. Now, we would have to define the word spiritual, so I might be doing that in the future.
Well, when you say spiritual, like what makes you draw that conclusion that they're spiritual?
What's the obvious? I mean, spiritual may be the wrong word. Supernatural. They're beyond nature as we understand it. I mean, obviously they are. I mean, just chart their physical behavior. It doesn't, it goes outside of what we understand about physics. No visible means of propulsion, coming at indescribable speed, hitting the ocean, continuing at speeds that are impossible undersea. I mean, in other words, if I take a 9mm round or 7.62 by 39 and shoot you at 50 yards underwater in a swimming pool, and it's even more intense in salt water because it's denser, you could catch the bullet if it even makes it to you, right? So if you have a craft, any object underwater that's traveling at 500 knots as measured by sonar, right there you're challenging our understanding of physics. Like, what is that? How can that be?
All right, so they're talking about the mechanics of the UAP phenomenon, what was used to be called the UFO phenomenon. So what they're talking about, I do like how he switches the idea of quote-unquote spiritual with quote-unquote supernatural. This is beyond nature, beyond what we understand as nature, the laws of traditional physics. And he's saying this goes beyond the laws of physics into the supernatural. The supernatural does not have to be taboo, does not have to be anything super weird. It's just beyond what we currently understand as our natural laws. So he's talking about the UAPs, how there's videos where they go underwater, they don't make a splash. It seems that they are moving with a different set of boundaries, with a different set of rules. Now, when you go deep into the research, you find out that some of the things, now I'm taking all of this as a little bit of science fiction, a little bit of fantasy, if you may. I've done this research for a long time. I have my own ideas. I have my own things to talk about that might be introducing all of this, but let's just take it as fantasy. You take what can work for you, what you think is true, what makes sense to you. But if you want to go through the research, I would encourage you, go through it, because we have enough information to figure out what's going on here. And it's all tied to bigger things. I want to be tying all of this with bigger things, dealing with morality, dealing with our current issues in the world, and how all of this information can be beneficial to us. So some of the ideas that come forward is that these beings control the ships with their minds. Their consciousness is tied to their quote-unquote ships, and sometimes there are no ships. These lights in the sky are just energy, and they are them. You try to figure out that as you may. There are mechanical things resembling the ships, as they say. Some of the other accounts say that these are extensions of their energy, of their nature. This is why they are just light. They're Merkabahs. This is their light, their their energy, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things going on here, but now we're looking into the very mechanical thing, that the idea of them being supernatural just because they're not as physical as we think that all reality is. Thank you so much for watching. If you find any value in the content that I'm putting forward, please consider supporting the project through Patreon on the links below. Likewise, you can like, share, subscribe, comment, or follow me on other social media so more people have access to this information. Thank you so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you in the next one.